everybody, and Happy New Year to all our members and staff and guests. We have minutes from last year, December 4th. Y'all had an opportunity to look at those?
Move for
Second. Any discussion? All right, if not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Stay with me now. Yeah. All right, minutes are approved, somewhat weekly, but they were. Financial report,
Page number 5 is the current status as of January the 5th. We're 50% through our budget year. So you can look down that right-hand column and see where we're over, where we're under, and only the minor things are a little bit over. We're well in line.
all right, any questions of Phil?
Yes, sir.
All right, is there a motion to approve the
Motion.
financial report, or a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All right, proposed budget.
Yeah, well, we need to, GC, you want to talk about the 14-15 assistant director salary adjustment? It's included in there, so I don't know if we need it.
I think I'd rather wait until the full board approves it on the end of the month.
All right.
Let's do it at that time.
Now, Mayor Craig had brought a proposal, I see you got a memorandum in there that addresses that, so you might want
We did, Mayor Craig has asked us to look at adding a position. I think we sent this out, I know we sent this out to all the members. Certainly, I think we need to make more effort in it, and I think a transitional option would be to let Tammy take that obligation on. She's starting it right now. We've taken her off of some GIS stuff. We've taken her off of some other activities. I think instead of trying to add another staff person at this time, let us give some transitional time. We did adjust the salary. I think I could not find a better person to do this at this time. I guess my point is, let us take a look at it for the next year. And then if we need to add another person at that time, I think that might be a better approach. Mayor, I certainly appreciate your thoughts, and I'll just leave it at that. I don't know it's a good time to go in front of the, and ask for more money at this point, but those are my concerns on the position. But certainly, Mayor, I'm hoping what your comments are.
Well, if you ask and get turned down, at least we could, I think we could move forward and ask, and then see where we're at. It might take a year or two to educate the value of what we're asking for. But I don't believe that, I know of the load that she's had on her in doing, and I know that the load of addressing the retail and all is time consuming. Kenny, you can attest to that. It's a lot of calls, touch, and especially if you're looking at doing it over 3 cities in the county. I don't see how it's going to work out where you're going to be able to, I guess, meet my expectations with just not having any extra help.
One of the things we will be in next month is a SOAR report. I know I've covered the industrial thing, but I'm asking Tammy from this point forward to do activities, what she's doing. It may take a few months to get her started, but maybe that's some indication of what more we are going to do in the retail. Basically, what I've done is try to free her up now. And we're putting more responsibilities up front. If that can be done, fine. If it can't, we may come back to you and ask for a change. I may make a change. But certainly, apart from this point forward, if we're going to go with the salary adjustment, I think there's some presentations here of what we are doing in retail. Any packages she may be able to send out, how many meetings she's going to have, and there's more time out of the office. I hope that helps us address that issue, but Mayor, if we bring somebody in here green, and I think you've gone through that process, it's tough to find somebody in that retail business.
Well,
Doesn't mean that we can't, and doesn't mean we shouldn't do, but let's use the best person we have right now for a period of time.
well,
If that's the case, let's take the administrative stuff away from her in a year. Let us, have somebody do the books and all those things, and we'll have a full-time retail person at that time.
There may be another route to this, and I brought this article in, I was interested in, where Mount Juliet Chamber had developers. And they agree with what I said last month, that retail follows rooftop. That's what, if you get the houses, then you're gonna get the retail. So you might wanna look at individual cities, just sit down and put a pencil to what it costs to build a house before you ever put a spade in the ground. You may wanna trade off some of your future expected sales tax for your capacity fees and impact fees and inspection fees and groundwater fees and just fee after fee after fee. Because it just takes thousands of dollars just to be permitted to build a house. So you might want to look at, maybe your own worst enemy, yeah.
for the cities, that biggest part is not our part, for a house that, our building permit fees are very in line with leading cities and all, is the impact fee of the other. The development fees that you have, that's one thing that for the city of Lebanon, we are looking at, because we have so many different zones with different things, we are looking at that as to kind of see how much it really generates as opposed to being a hindrance to certain areas that we're wanting to develop. And so, we are looking at it that way too. But the big, building a house, is that biggest part of the fee is the impact fee that's, on the county that goes to the schools.
Well, it just doesn't permit, but then you've got your groundwater,
Yes. But
which is
that's in the development phase, that's in part of the lots, not on the
Well,
individual
but
house.
they whoever buys a lot gonna pay for that.
Well, no, it like everything, taxes and everything, it all flows on down, flows through.
But I'm just saying that may be some place you want to look at.
I just feel like if part of it is, waiting another year is, you could get three, you could have somebody out there really aggressive for the county, they get 3 or 4, they've more than paid for what they've done. So, the returns are real good. If you get a little fast food area that even does $2 million, that's, close to 50,000. So, if you're able to have someone out there even working and bringing those in and following up and helping, that's, it can pay for it.
Tammy and I had a lot of discussion on this. We think probably her typical work week, and Tammy, you're certainly welcome to make comments, but, she's probably spending less than 30-40% of her time in retail over the last few years. We hope to increase that another 30-40%. We think there's probably about 20-25% of her time is just bond board checks, audits, budgets, those things. And what we're trying to do is get her down to that bare minimum. And then, we think we're going to grow 30-40% more of her time in retail by doing this.
Well, I also think y'all been doing more than you reporting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's probably been something we haven't done enough of. I know what the calls she's on, people she reaches out to, when you call and says, what's my numbers?
Yeah, I do
I'm
that all
working
the
with
time.
somebody and
Yeah,
what's down here, Dennis, you're also,
Mm-hmm.
so there's more of that going on.
And that's my deficiency, I'll accept that, because I wasn't taught when I first started here, I wasn't taught to be a cheerleader or to say what I'm doing, because I'm here to make you all look good. It's not about what I'm doing, so that's my own deficiency.
Your hotel started here, like we said before, with the, where's my numbers?
Mhm.
And then it sort of gets down to you guys and you run with it. Well,
Yeah.
it should be.
yeah.
So there's a lot going on that we have not recorded. And that's one thing I think we need to start doing. So,
And I'll say this, just from city standpoint, and I did talk to the mayor, and I know where the mayor's coming from, but the good thing about where you guys are located, if the front desk person or anybody that's there, or if there's a phone call that comes in asking, because a lot of our stuff's just walk-in stuff, or it's an entrepreneur, they're looking for something, you can forward them here. We've done that before, where if it's just something that's above us. I mean, a lot of what we do is just trying to track down information for folks, and normally it starts with Tammy, and I see where the mayor's coming from, but, you know, GC's been doing this a long time, and Tammy's as sharp as they come, so if he feels good about it, I see no harm in trying what he's proposing for a while to see if it works out, because honestly, I don't know that you could find anybody green that would come in that knows all the streets in the county and every building that's available. That's the most important part, it's already done. So I see where the mayor's coming from, but GC and Tammy feel like this is the way to go, then I'm definitely supportive
Well,
of it.
I'm not looking at just somebody that's front end. I'm
You-
thinking
yeah, like
of
a
somebody
proactive.
that has capabilities to learn quick and become not only a support on the industrial development side, but also here, but somebody that's capable of taking those things that she's doing and totally free her up so that it will be more of a, 90% or more out there really doing what we want to do, and that's the low hanging fruit. And I think the return for the cities and the schools and everything is much greater if we become very aggressive at it. It's kind of like when I built, all these years building the houses, when the market changed and things start being different, you gotta be flexible to move. And it'd be whether it's custom home selling or apartments or rental properties or, whatever. You just got to be flexible. And I think putting off another year is just not being prepared for when it can be most effective here in the next couple of years, because we have attracted a lot of industry to this community, and the rooftops are coming, and so that right now, the people, they're taking note to what.
All right. Other comments, questions?
I move we present this budget to the full board.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna comment before we do. Can you say that we've gone back up on our marketing part for 15, 16? We had that initiative there, and we reallocated that, and you also see the increase in the assistant director's pay proposed there.
Just the same, yeah, last
Same
month.
we had last month, yes.
All right, got a motion to send forward the proposed budget on to the full board. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the budget?
I'd ask an amendment that we like to amend it to ask for that position.
All right, we've got a motion to amend to add I guess would be a fourth position or an additional position, let me say, for the purposes described by Mayor Craighead. Is there a second to that motion? Is there a second to that motion?
Crickets.
Do what?
Crickets. Just a
crickets,
What's that mean?
there's nothing, no sound except the crickets.
Oh, all right, that didn't got the water tower yet. All right, motion failed, motion to amend for lack of a second, so we're back now on the original motion to forward the budget to the full board, and that's been seconded. Are we ready to vote?
Got just additional comment. I came in late, and I'm assuming we're talking about the additional position that you have been talking about. Where are you with your position over there?
No, I don't have.
So you're not going to do that one?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to see if we can go together and do good for the whole county, and then not do that as much, and then do something else that would be in conjunction to work with Tammy.
Well, we talked, and I talked with GC, and of course, you know, I want to support my mayors and, but at the same time, I want to, you know, I know that you have a plan. And I'm just as interested in making sure that retail grows here, in our area. But, after talking with you and you feel like this is what you want to do, that's why I didn't second it, Mayor. 'Cause I know I'm one of the ones that could have seconded it. I just go back and emphasize that we do need to be ready for what's fixing to happen here, and I hope that we're ready across the county to prepare for retail. And I know that she does an outstanding job, and we've talked about our situation up front, and I understand where you're going, so.
I would prefer to take this approach at this time, and that's fine.
So,
The professional study, I've got some of the formats done. I think what we see in retail and recruitment, according to what, you know, we gotta listen to that guy, and what was, the whole office development is tied heavily with retail now. Just has a little workshop play and all that. I thought that was a really good presentation down there. I think there's a real correlation between the retail and what we're gonna be doing in the office. I think they go hand in hand, so let us get through our study this time. Let us put some emphasis in retail, and then, you know, let's, if we need a full-time retail professional person, maybe it's Tammy, but we had a person at that time. I think it's a better approach.
so my public comment, Mayor, to you is that I've always supported you, but I've always been told a long time ago, you can't push a rope. And you know, you give them somebody they don't want right now, that's not gonna make it work. They gotta want it.
We all serve at the discretion of this committee and board, so we do what they want to do. That's but we'll do that.
All right, further comments?
Yeah, one more too is, again, I see where the mayor's coming from. I haven't approached the mayor or the board of commissioners yet, which they would have to ultimately approve it. But we haven't even filled the original position in ECD and Mountfield either. And so we do it through a combination of folks. So if at some point Tammy and GC felt like that position was needed, then of course, I'd be glad to approach the mayor and the commission about taking some of the funds we aren't using for that position to put into it.
That's what I was doing instead of me hiring someone.
Yeah.
I'd rather put it into here where it's a joint action for the whole county, and I felt like it'd be more effective than just Lebanon's, because it's just like you have done when you've had something that didn't quite fit Mount Juliet, you send them up here. Well, that person, they would be, you know, they might talk them into 2 locations and all, so.
But it also should be noted that with y'all's 2 vacancies, not being able to find someone that suits it, it's probably unlikely to find somebody here also.
Yeah, that's one thing good about Tammy.
Well-
Together, we can work together and get her to where, she's already where she needs to be. To me, the retail part, and that's just me, because it's much easier, no offense to, I think what you guys do is a lot tougher with the industrial and the manufacturing, distribution, things of that nature. Retail is, can they afford the square footage that they're trying to rent, is it the right location, who are their customers? And knowing that, and luckily we know all those, you know, Mount Juliet's only 22 square miles, so it's easy for us to keep up with the spaces available, so you can almost keep it in your head, and you do if you've been there a long time, so. But when the time comes, if DC and Tammy feel like that's the right move, I'll definitely take it to the mayor and board of commissioners.
Well, that's what I was talking about, was instead of putting that money to here to hire someone that'd be good, that would be quality support
Yeah.
to both of them on both sides.
Exactly.
And to me, that's a better investment of our tax dollars when you look at cities and county as a whole. And I just firmly believe we need to be very aggressive at the retail right now, because things are changing, because we've had a good run on the industrial, and we can now tap in. It's kind of like you get an extra store or somewhere for revenues, you tap into it. So, enough said.
I call for the question, mayor's got a meeting you gotta be at.
All right, now you also. All right, we're ready to vote on the proposed budget. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No,
All right, motion carries 4-1 unless I misread the vote. All right, 4-1.
my no is still with total support of this
All
board.
right, I understand.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mayor. 2 other points financially, you got a spending report attached. along with the sales tax. And one thing for future discussion, not to get into it today, but after reviewing the lease, our lease will expire September the 30th, 2015. And we have an option to extend that lease for an additional year, but we must give the landlord at least 90 days notice.
It's probably an issue we need to discuss in February, don't you think? September will be here pretty quick.
Right.
Although by the feel of outside this morning, not quick enough.
That'll have to be by July the 1st.
Yeah, it's something that I'll propose, and it's just simply, just really came to mind when you mentioned that, because I wasn't thinking about the lease, but if it helped in any way, we've, not trying to get anything to move, it's the county seat, but we've got more than enough space in a vacant building in Mount Juliet. It's a nice building, a lot of space. So if you guys ever want to get out of that, apply that money to something else, I'd be glad to approach the commission about giving the JCDB a free location.
Okay.
And my only comment is you look at sales tax collection, there's a $300,000 increase for about 10% from November to November. So
What is the rent payment right now here?
I've got,
25,
yeah, it's,
500 a month, or, yeah, 24 something, so $30,000 a year.
$14 a square foot. And we're leasing 1,633 square feet. And the lease payments in cash.
All right, is that all the financial matters we've got this morning?
Yes, sir.
We're sort of at the mid-year and everything sounds, not only are we in line with everything, but it sounds promising for the future as far as what we're hearing on sales tax and the comments around the table about what we need to get ready for. So, we have been sitting here 4 or 5 years ago talking about downturn, so these are nice issues or problems, or however you want to say it, nice things that have to be addressed instead of going the other way, so. That's all I'll say, get off my soapbox. Prospect activities, you see?
We will sort of hit the highlights if you don't care, Mr. Chairman. I do, in your package, you will see a grant application for Four Lake, Central Tennessee.
Four Lake.
Four Lake application in regards to the Under Armour. I asked the committee to consider that in a little bit. We did host the members of the Wilson County Budget Committee. Everybody was here except for Mr. McFarland that day. I think there were some good discussions. I think there's some understanding of what we have to do. I think there's some understanding on their, certainly from their point of view of how they feel about the program, and it's difficult and things they have. Mayor, I don't spend a lot of time on it, but I appreciate you getting them here. You got a lot to do with that, and we'll move forward from where we were. I think that was a good thing to do. It's not been in the paper. You've probably not heard about Hamanetics. Down at Castle Pike, they have a couple 100,000 square feet. It's just another distribution company. And I'll say just another distribution company, but it's more than that. Plasma, blood products, tubes, things as they service about 7,000 different clinics and medical facilities across the United States from that. So it's upper end things. So they're out of Boston. We are waiting to do a press release on it. They did have an open house for a very clean, very upscale, sort of like the holiday stuff, Kenny and Mount Juliet. Just something that we worked with, just like B&G Foods. There's a lot of things that we fill up buildings around here that don't get in the paper. Probably less than 70 or 80 people down there working, but certainly sort of another unique company here, sort of in line with what.
I was gonna ask, are they affiliated
sort
either
of,
way?
well, she does more plasma. This is, their company takes blood and separates platelets from it, and then they store the platelets, and then they ship it out from down there. So more than just sort of a warehouse building, and this distribution thing changes. These are the type of folks that are coming in our area, a lot more than just picking up the box and shipping it out. We do.
What do you say they located?
Couchville Pike, just south of the, not Tackle City, Tachi S Automotive down there on the very end of the building. Up next to Aldi Foods. Before you get to Aldi Foods at the end of the road, they're the last building on the left. It's about 400,000, that building, they got about half of it, so just let you know who's in the area. We will let you look at a couple pilot proposals. We will take one of those off. This Project Java, which is a major manufacturer, they're in here all day yesterday, interviewing folks. There's some issues with the building and the lease. So they're in Lebanon, they're not in Lebanon, they're gonna close a couple of facilities. They got able to sue, so we're gonna take that off, but we do have a couple more for you guys to look at. Tammy participated with Mayor Hutto's group in screening for administrative for Miss Rachel's position a couple of times. Kenny, of importance, met with an investor and developer that's looking at property north of Panatone. And they got some options on some property, but we met with them, and I think you're aware of that. We have been very active with the Project Sprinkles, which is a food manufacturer here and that wants to come to Lebanon. We'll sort of look, they're in here all day Tuesday, so we can talk about that when we get the projects. But I would, just as a trend, there's a lot more industrial manufacturing jobs floating around here now, and I think that's a good trend. As far as projects, Plant 9, we'll talk about that. There is a pilot proposal on for that. They are an automotive supplier. Sprinkles is that food processor. At some point in time, I'm concerned about this alley project. It is another 1 million square foot building. It is another 600 logistics site people that are looking down on Couchville Pike area. How, they have done employer surveys. We've lined them up. Our labor source and logistics is going to be very tight here this year. Federal Express. And they want to look at, if they come back and ask for what a pilot proposal is, we have about 20% leeway there. Maybe we don't, maybe we're not as aggressive. And I think those are things the budget committee sort of expressed. But I'll bring that back to you when we have to do that proposal. If you're just going to share numbers, they may qualify for 3 or 4 years. If you really want those type of jobs, maybe we're at the point now that we can have some discretionary year or 2 in there that I've been including it for Under Armour and some of these other projects. But we can talk about that later. The addiction projects we're going to talk about in pilot here in a minute. Papa is a manufacturer coming out of Murfreesboro. 200 or 300 employees, but they would have another 100 employees there in a stamping operation. They're looking at Couchville Pike. Those are the really active projects. Java is the one that's been asked, been put back. They are a major tier 1 automotive. Project Shine is the one that took Jack Cato's building that is now setting some equipment, and he's working with him for the startup. I think you guys have met with him, know who that is. So what I will try to do in the future is sort of keep down and just sort of give you the numbers on the really active projects and not everything, but we sort of sent things out.
Since we are, GC sort of overlapped in his prospect activity report and referenced some things we need to act on, why don't we do that and go back to old business, because in case Mayor Craighead needs to leave, so you want to skip down and do those.
If
I
you
guess now 3 items instead of 4.
Yeah, we can do that. Probably need a couple of things, Mr. Chairman. Page 21 is that Fort Lake regional application. When those final days of negotiation, when Under Armour was going on, they asked if there was anything the county could do. Mayor Hutto and I met. The only other money that was in this project was our adequate facilities tax. And we put in a letter that said we would look at considering abating that or having someone else pay for that. by Charlie's lines, requirements of his programs, you really just can't go get money and give it to somebody. So what we agreed to do is, let's use that money to reimburse the county. By doing that, Panettone has now agreed to match engineering, signalization light, all those things, and been able to match about $200,000 of money from TDOT in that TDOT grant. So basically what we're doing is letting the city and Panettone use that money to match to get that signalization study and the signal put in at Beckwith Road. You get off Beckwith Road, goes north, there's gonna be a signal there, turn left, go to Under Armour. Thank you, sir. If you turn right, that's gonna serve the Federal Express project. You know, that's not part of, Federal Express is not considered in this because we're just dealing with Under Armour. So that's what that money is, you know, is sort of replacing funds that the city or the developer was gonna have to pay.
You recommend that?
I recommend that we do that. We are getting money back, we are getting some product put on that somebody was gonna have to do, or if it was not gonna be done, it was gonna become an issue for that development.
Do we have a way to, Mike, do we have a way to do that?
The way to do what?
You're saying the county would waive the adequate facilities
No,
tax?
The developer has already paid it, and so what we would ask is for Four Lakes to have a check sent to the county. So the money could not go to Panettone.
The developer's already paid it to the county. You're going to then,
We're gonna give that money back to the developer.
Probably gonna refund, I guess you're talking about a refund from the,
We're gonna,
how would you do it though, is what I'm saying.
you know, we don't waive the adequate facilities tax except in certain instances if your house burns and you're replacing it within a year and that type of thing, but we've nothing for industry or.
I would assume the money goes to the county, the $32,000, and the county could then send that check on to,
That'd be up to the county attorney and the county mayor. I don't know.
okay?
Well, we gotta get the money from them first, don't we?
Yes, and that's not going, that's, I mean, if you want to see if that can be done, we can do this next month.
Oh, no.
Four Lakes doesn't meet until April, so they won't, you know, take this on the agenda, but that's how it's proposed.
And I guess I was thinking that Four Lake was going to pay something that the developer was going to have to pay in place of that would progress this project to make it liable or good for the community. And that would just take the place of the money that we're already paying to the county. I didn't think we were getting the money and going to reimburse anybody.
The
I thought we
money
were paying
can't
for
go
something.
to a developer.
No, but I thought it could go to, I thought our money for Lake could go to something that would help a project actually happen.
And it is helping TDOT, it is matching money that TDOT is, you
You
know,
already said it. The
It's-
Four Lakes going to the county is really paying for that portion of the signalization of it, but Panettone's already paying it to move it forward, and it's a reimbursement for that share of for that. Is that not what
that
you're
is
saying?
what I said, yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, the money still, I see where Rob's coming from, the money's still got to be refunded, and the only time we really, I don't know if we've ever refunded, we just don't charge. You pay your adequate facilities tax when the time you get your building permit, so you can't build anything until you pay it.
And they pay.
So we have people coming in front of the Board of Zoning Appeals that think they have a valid reason, and there's about 6, and I'm sorry, I don't remember them all. But about once or twice a year, we have somebody that comes in there and says, you know, we decided not to build, but they waited 2 years after they paid it, and we won't refund it back because they didn't meet the time, or one of the exceptions. So we've never been faced with this issue. I'm not saying we
But
can't do it.
if a bill is paid twice, then
You gotta refund
You gotta
somebody's
refund.
money. I'm not saying we can't do that, just, it's first time.
well, that's what I was getting at.
long as
There's gotta be a way to do it. And you said something about
I don't want-
signalization or something.
It's all it is county has promised to do the signalization for TDOT. Pantone has gone on and paid that ahead, so they're reimbursing for their commitment.
Our job is to request the money, and I'm not so moved.
I do too. I second.
I got a motion and a second. I always come back to this. I say this about twice a year, and you're probably tired. You know, this is the country that put a man on the moon, brought him safely back. We'll figure this out. Okay, all in favor say aye.
If you look at page,
Burtman, yeah. Okay, what's next?
under new business, second thing is project plant 9. 9 is a supplier to Nissan. They actually operate 3 lines inside the Nissan plant already. They're stamping and some assembly. They have now got more work that they can do, and we're not enough space over there. They are looking at your building down in, this is people that you met with this day, looking at building in Mount Juliet. They will invest $19 million in personal equipment. Their employees, only number 41, but they're in that $40,000 range. Their machinists, their welders, they're that type of level. They would lease, Kenny, I think, $100,000 out of that building. Not to be considered in this is they typically bring another supplier with them that would want another 50, 100,000 square feet if that's available, but we don't consider that. They have asked that we move forward. They do have, they are moving forward on the lease of the building, but this is what they've asked us to do. I think it is a good project. What you do have on page 24 is how we actually look at that number. Again, if you look at location, target, and industry, that's really only the sort of numbers that we can't affect. And I do think a tier 1 supplier of that wage rate, dictates that we do 20 points. If you do that, and this is what I want to start sending to the budget committee, so we can talk about it, but this is the numbers. They will pay $64,466 over a 5-year term in personal equipment.
The wage, and you say the annual salary of $40,500, is that an average wage?
That is an average wage of those 41 employees.
Do you know what the
I have.
I'm always curious, you can get to an average by paying somebody $2 million and somebody else.
I have seen the plant manager is about $100,000. The head of engineers about $80,000.
What about the rank and file?
They're about $16 an hour. This company has been identified as among one of the best places to work. They do have about a 20% yearly profit sharing. On top of that, they do have a 35% benefit package. So I don't consider the 20% in this salary range. So it is an extraordinary manufacturing company.
So you recommend
I do recommend that we submit this for consideration for the 5 years.
Just budget committee.
That is correct, sir.
All right, somebody will make that motion?
I will.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All right, those ayes were weak. You hear any no's? They sounded a lot stronger than me. Okay.
Project Java is another automotive. We're not going to consider that. They were here yesterday again. Lease issues are popping up, and they may actually be able to sue. That is the company that sent consultants through here and did employer interviews. They are sort of committed to this. They did management interviews in here for some managers yesterday. So I think we're in good shape, but when they left here last night at 6 o'clock, I met with them and they said, we've got to work out the buildings first, so don't do this. And it's probably good timing for us not to do that. Project at page 31 is a request from an existing industry here. They've been in this community, Tammy, can you tell me, 20 plus years, I would assume. I'll be glad to talk to you individually who these are. They're in the logistics fulfillment, but they pay more money than the typical folks. Their average term employees over 14, 15 years. They are competing for a project. They would add 200,000 square feet to their building. Basically, they've been operating under their inventory control, racking, computer system since day one. They need to spend their, piece of equipment over their breaks. They have to go salvage it off somebody else because nobody else manufactures that product anymore. You can see a $29 million investment is what they think they will make just to upgrade this project. You got 242 people working there. If they don't get this project, it goes to Indiana, and at that point in time, this becomes sort of a secondary operation. If you put a $9 million expansion on that building, you get $92,000 a year in additional real property taxes on top of what they're paying. During that term, we would abate $613,000, and you would get $99,000 in personal equipment during that term. I know the budget committee at one time had some concerns about doing it for an existing industry that was a limited number of employees. They would hire another 48 employees. Can you say how many employees would not work there if you don't do this investment? But I did tour over there with the corporate folks, and if you don't make some improvements in that, that's going to become a secondary operation. You'll lose some of these employees. Again, we'll get more wages. A lot of folks work there. This does meet the intent of our program. It does have an existing industry. I'd be glad to, don't feel good about telling everybody who it is, but I think most people around the table do know. These would, I would recommend that we take it for consideration to the budget committee.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second, discussion. Not all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, carries unanimous. Is that all the
Mr. Chairman,
action items we'll get?
Those are the only things that require votes, I think.
I have one question. PCRS is requiring that resolution. Is that gonna be on this month's budget committee?
Totally forgotten that, to be honest with you. Hopefully it will be now.
Okay,
And I'll discuss that more with Senator and
okay.
some of the questions they had. Okay, thank you for reminding me. And I better, since it'll be a few minutes before I get back to the office, I better make myself a note. Okay, anything else?
Question on your rent, we're paying $2,153.84.
Your budget's 25,000.
All right. Any items of old business? Any items returning to new business that GC didn't have listed there? Any items that are not listed that we need to discuss, new business?
Just for that project sprinkles, did you get that information? I sent you some maps and things.
Just out of curiosity. Oh, I'm sorry. Just out of curiosity, who named the last project Addiction? That sounds like a...
That's what I asked.
Well,
I'm waiting on
I
project
did,
drop.
and I did it on Tammy's behalf because what this company ships out, it is her addiction.
Okay,
That's where it came from.
okay, all right. I just thought that was an unusual name. I was kind of waiting.
There was a reason behind that
Project
one.
Drunkards or something.
Cocaine.
Mike, just to report the Novomed issue, bond issue went through. We had a Green Tree Point housing issue, did not close. They haven't dropped it, but they were doing them in 4 cities around the state, around Middle Tennessee, and the lender, it got up to such amount of money that the lender decided they needed to have New York approve it, and they couldn't get it done by the end of the year. The developer has delayed, and I don't know whether he's gonna go to a different lender or what. Under Armour did not close, but theirs was not to become effective until January 1 of 17, so They said they needed another plat approved. Have you got a plat coming through down there for them?
I'm not familiar with, I hadn't heard any discussions about
That's
that.
what the lawyers told me, they were waiting the certification that a plat had been approved and recorded.
Yeah.
Probably won't happen until they get done with construction.
Yeah, I could see that, they were putting so many pieces together, and they were doing that.
So, I don't know what they'll try to close. We got a rule, you gotta close within a year. So, they may make it all again, become effective January 1/17, so they're not done, but they had expressed an interest in going ahead and getting it done.
If it doesn't close within a year, is there, can you reapply and start the process all over?
When's that year start?
Date of approval,
That date.
December something. Whenever the IDB board met and approved it.
Okay. Anything else from anybody? All right, are we ready to adjourn? Go back out into the cold?
Somebody
Some
may have
of us
something to say.
When you put it that way, maybe not. Let's talk about something. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? Everybody go, second. Yeah, there you go.
Everybody go there.
There you go.